Welcome back, Endgame community, and let's talk about some of my favorite buy low running backs heading into week 10. All right, I got to start off with DeAndre Swift, and I know a lot of you are going to hear that name, you're going to roll your eyes, and you're just going to instantly say, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. How could you possibly go trade for DeAndre Swift right now? And I get it. Only 5 touches in week 10, talks about him being limited, talks about him not being close to 100% the rest of the season. There's a ton of risk with DeAndre Swift. There is no doubt about it. But there's also a ton of upside because what did he do with those 5 touches? 50 yards, 10 yards per touch. He was great when he got the ball. And that's the thing. We know he is great when he gets the ball. And right now his value is so low that the reward way outweighs the risk because you don't have to give up a stud player to get DeAndre Swift anymore. DeAndre Swift is getting to the point where people are so panicked on DeAndre Swift that you could probably give up a good, usable, startable bench player and get DeAndre Swift. And what's the worst that can happen? He never gets healthy, he's always limited, and he just sits on your bench like that bench player would have. Best case, he does get healthy. He does start playing more, and when he does, if he does, he will absolutely help people win fantasy championships. So don't be one of these people who are freaking out about him and are just saying, I'll get rid of him for anything right now. Not going to take a lot to get DeAndre Swift, and the reward is well worth it. All right, now on to a guy who looked like an absolute league winner until the last 2 weeks, and that is Josh Jacobs. Has had 2 down games for him. The Raiders offense, I don't know, it looked great for the first half, and then it disappeared for the second half of that game. The Raiders are a mess. They're not going anywhere this year, but there's still a lot of reasons for optimism for Josh Jacobs. Despite a poor outing in week 9, he had 17 carries and 3 targets. There aren't a lot of running backs that are going to give you 17 carries and 3 targets or more week in and week out. And people are starting to worry if we're starting to see the Josh Jacobs we thought we were going to get this year. Not the Josh Jacobs we got in the beginning of the year, but basically the Josh Jacobs we have gotten for his entire career. And look, we probably won't get the Josh Jacobs that scores 30 fantasy points week in and week out. That's just not sustainable. But this is still a high-end RB2 at worst, if not a low-end RB1 for the rest of the season. And people aren't valuing him that way right now because, again, 2 bad games and a history of not really being a great fantasy asset. So go out, try to get Josh Jacobs before he rebounds and it's too late. All right, the last time we've seen Tony Pollard play, he had a great game, right? Got the start without Ezekiel Elliott, tore it up, did everything we expected him to do. So why is Tony Pollard a buy low? Well, there's a couple reasons. Number one, coming off the bye. And a lot of times people just forget. It's been 2 weeks. People have very short-term memories, not only in fantasy football, but in life. But number 2, what did Jerry Jones say right after that game? Right after the game. Tony Pollard just tore it up and Jerry Jones came out and said, Zeke is a guy, we go where Zeke takes us. Basically saying, I don't care how good Tony Pollard was, I'm still going to roll out Zeke week in and week out, and basically forcing Mike McCarthy's hand and forcing Mike McCarthy to continue to rely on Ezekiel Elliott. So even though Pollard had that huge game and feels like you can't go buy low for him, you can, because people know that Zeke is still going to be the guy here. He's still going to get the bulk of the work. But Tony Pollard has a clear path to fantasy relevance, not just, right now with Zeke as an every week starting guy. You need a flex, you need a replacement for bye weeks. Tony Pollard can get it done. Tony Pollard has that explosive ability, has that big playability. But he's also an incredibly valuable handcuff should Zeke miss more games. And look, we just saw Zeke miss a game. There's no guarantee Zeke is going to stay healthy rest of the year. This guy has over 2,000 touches in his career. He is at the point of absolute breakdown for running back, and we've seen it in his performance, and now we're starting to see it in his health. So go get Tony Pollard on the relatively cheap, stash him on your bench, maybe play him when you're in a pinch. But if Zeke does go down, or if Mike McCarthy, basically says, I can't keep giving the ball to Ezekiel Elliott anymore, you have a true high upside week in, week out running back. We did see the return of Cordarrelle Patterson in week 9, and he looked good, no doubt about it. But you know who else looked good? Tyler Algier, the rookie. I don't think a lot of people realize Tyler Algier put up 13 fantasy points without a touchdown in this game, and he only had 1 catch. Tyler Algier has been really good the last 3 weeks, and nobody has noticed. Nobody has noticed that Tyler Algier has actually been very good over the last 3 weeks. And I get it. Cordarrelle Patterson is back now. Allgeier is going to lose some value, but he still had 10 carries and a target in this game. And Atlanta is a team that wants to run the ball a ton. And Cordarrelle Patterson is not built to handle 20 plus touches. We've already seen it. He broke down last year. He ran out of gas. He already has been hurt once this year. He's 31 years old. He's a wide receiver. He's not built to be a workhorse running back. I think there's plenty here for Tyler Allgeier, even with Cordarrelle Patterson healthy. But we know if Cordarrelle Patterson goes down, Tyler Allgeier is going to step in and be the lead back for one of the run heaviest offenses in the NFL with one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. So right now is a perfect time to go get Tyler Allgeier. Even if you don't need Tyler Allgeier right now, that's even better. Go trade for him on the cheap, stash him on your bench. You can always play him if you're desperate. And who knows, Cordarrelle Patterson, there's always a chance this guy breaks down again between now and the end of the season. And if he does, Allgeier steps into a lead role. With the injuries to Jonathan Taylor this year, it's opened up the door for Deon Jackson, who's been one of the top waiver wire pickups for a couple of weeks now throughout the season. But he really disappointed here in week 9, which wasn't too surprising going against the Patriots and also being part of a completely inept Colts offense. But look, the Colts are telling us everything we need to know. They are tanking. Not only did they bench Matt Ryan, and I don't care what you think of Matt Ryan, they benched him for Sam Ehlinger, who should not even be starting in the NFL, not even close. They benched Matt Ryan for Sam Ehlinger, and now they just fired their head coach, Frank Reich. They are in full tank rebuild mode. There is a chance that they just shut down Jonathan Taylor for the rest of the season. Because why? Why play your young stud running back who's battling an ankle injury when you're just trying to lose games anyways? Kind of like what we've seen with Christian McCaffrey the last couple of years. No point in putting him out there, putting that wear and tear on him. Just save him for next season when hopefully you're more competitive. Now, Deon Jackson is the lead guy with Jonathan Taylor out. So there is a chance that Deon Jackson is the lead running back for the Colts from now till the end of the season. And that probably doesn't excite you very much. And it probably shouldn't excite you very much because this Colts offense is the worst in the NFL right now. But there is one thing that should excite you about Deon Jackson, and that's that he gets one of the best playoff schedules for running backs in fantasy. From weeks 15 to 17, he gets Minnesota, then the Chargers, and then the Giants, who are a very good pass defense, but a very bad run defense. He could absolutely put up solid RB2 games for those 3 weeks. And right now, he's a guy that people are thinking about dropping after what he did in week 9. So if he's not dropped in your league, go out and put an incredibly lowball offer for Deon Jackson. Maybe the person who has Deon Jackson in your league was just going to drop him anyways and will take your lowball offer. Now, absolutely, if he is dropped, you should grab him. But still, it's worth putting out a lowball offer and see if you can get Deon Jackson. One of the saddest things at the NFL trade deadlines for me was that Kareem Hunt was not traded. He's now stuck in Cleveland, at least for the rest of this season. But there's reasons to go out and try to get Kareem Hunt right now on the extremely, extremely cheap. Number one, they're coming out of the bye. They didn't trade Kareem Hunt. They don't need to protect Kareem Hunt in the case that maybe they get a great offer for him. He's on their team for the rest of the season. If they want to start giving Kareem Hunt more work, now is the time, because why not? And look at every other season prior to this one. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb have gotten similar workloads. It's just been this year, since he requested the trade, that his usage has dropped. Well, now they're not going to trade him. Who's to say they don't just give him more work again? But even if they don't, Kareem Hunt is one of the highest end handcuffs in all of fantasy. If Nick Chubb goes down, Kareem Hunt is walking into a workhorse role behind one of the best offensive lines on a team that just wants to run the ball. And we know Kareem Hunt is still a very good running back. And right now, Kareem Hunt still rostered in a ton of leagues, but nobody wants Kareem Hunt because they can't do anything with Kareem Hunt. So kind of like Deon Jackson, just throw out a lowball offer for Kareem Hunt. Worst case, he rots away on your bench for the rest of the season. Best case, you have an every week top 10 running back, workhorse running back who can help win fantasy championships. And then finally, I talked about Rachaad White last week, but I got to talk about him again. Still on a lot of waiver wire, so if he's on your waiver wire and you have room, go at him. But if he's on somebody's team, you need to start trying to trade for him now. We are seeing him more and more carve into Leonard Fournette's workload, and they have not had their bye yet. And what do we see with rookies a lot of times? They get that bye week bump. What does that mean? The team has the week off. The coaches sit down, they think about the team, and they say it's time to give this rookie more touches than this veteran who's just plodding along, doing nothing. Leonard Fournette has been nothing short of terrible this year in every way. Running the ball, pass protection, he has been bad. And we just saw the gap close significantly in week 9 between Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White. Leonard Fournette only had 1 more carry than Rachaad White and only 2 more targets than Rachaad White. This gap is closing, and it's closing quick. Now look, I thought Rachaad White, if he ever got the job here, would be a league winner because I thought this Tampa Bay offense would be great like it's always been. But it's not. This Tampa Bay offense, Tom Brady looks like he's ready to, hang it up. This offense does not look good. So I can't say Rachaad White is going to be an every week RB1 if he takes over this backfield, but he'll at least be a solid RB2 with upside. And again, the bye week is coming, and when it does, he may get even more of a bump. And we've seen it week in and week out. He's getting closer and closer to closing this gap. So again, if he's on your waiver wire, go stash him. But if he's not, go send out a low ball offer and see if you can get him. All right, now you know some running backs you should buy low on. What about wide receivers? What about who to start, who to sit, who could boom? Everything you need to win your Week 10 matchup, we got you covered with our Week 10 playlist you can find right here. Check it out.